Hello, Internet! Welcome to 2.5 Brains. This is the discussion of the latest episode of The Amazing Race. Amazing Race Season 32, Episodes 8 to 9. The double episode, jam-packed, the mega leg. And we're talking all about it here. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. This is, you can subscribe right on the down the bottom of the screen to this channel, Papermore Productions. You can also email us, papermoreproductions@gmail.com. You can also like us on Facebook, facebook.com/papermoreproductions, and you can tweet me directly, Yo Grabba Gabba. Before we get started, let's go ahead and bring in my co-host for this episode, Jessica.
Ow. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
That picture frame is really crooked, I just noticed that just now.
Well, I don't know what happened.
Whatever.
I'll fix it later.
Yep, so let's, how do we find you on Twitter if they want, if you are still on Twitter, I guess?
Just T820.
Yep. Nobody's on Twitter anymore, but yeah, that's cool. Let's go ahead and start here the episode. We'll kind of just talk about it as we go through. The episode, 2-hour episode, we're gonna kind of do. It was basically one episode, just 2 hours, but it counts as 2 episodes. So we'll kind of go through it here, line by line as one, as I said, and then have the power rankings at the end, and everything. So, what happened? What did they do?
From Kazakhstan to India.
Yeah, that's India. So that was really exciting.
You said, what's India?
No, so they went to India.
Yes, they went to
really
India.
exciting.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah.
It was really interesting to see the tasks they did.
And they traveled together, so they're all on the same mode of transportation. So they all had the same point. So no advantage this episode. What was next? What did they do?
What's a rickshaw? So they had to flag down rickshaws to get tested for pollution, I guess. It was the emissions that the rickshaw was giving off.
Yeah, so the motorized rickshaw, though, was like the actual rickshaw.
Right, so they had to flag them down and pull them out of traffic and have them tested. They each had to do 3 apiece, and that was funny.
Yeah, 3 per team. Some people didn't know what a rickshaw was, and they said, okay, go over there, and then they would go, and then they'd drive away.
They're like, no, just go there. And they're not going to do it unless you really make them.
Yeah,
you're not watching them. Yeah, I know. That's when they started doing that as well. Or you don't want to try and flag one down that have people in there because they're not going to stop for you.
Correct.
That was the problem towards the beginning of it, I guess.
For sure. It was a little bit of a learning curve. Once they kind of figured out what they were doing, there's a little bit of an argument over who should, if the one group could take 2 rickshaws, and DeAndre and the volleyball guys didn't get along on that. They're arguing that they could take 2 at a time, and they didn't agree. But that was pretty quick. It's pretty simple. There's the teams who do really well did really well. Teams who don't do really well didn't do really well. And that's kind of how that episode went. I guess it was that part of the episode went. There was not really much that changed there.
Yeah.
What's next?
Next was food app or number trap.
So that was the detour decision, the first one.
That was fun. So either they could go to, I think it was called Swift, where you get a bag where you pick up food, you get a GPS and a list of, I guess, the clients you have to deliver it to, except the GPS was disabled, so you couldn't enter in the address and take the food to them. They had to call someone at the place, and it would direct them where to go. Where the number trap was, they basically did, it reminded me of DDR, like you're in 2 big mats, but you had to use your hands, or no, what's that fruit thing?
Oh, yeah.
The ninja, fruit ninja.
Yeah.
So you had to use your hands, you had to get 1s and 0s that were highlighted on the screen and pick them up with your hands virtually, and then you had to basically decode the code, binary code.
Mm-hmm. And how'd that go?
Almost everybody did the number trap.
At least initially.
Hung and Chi, however, were doing that. They tried like 13 times, I think.
Like
and they decided to give up and go do the food app, which to me didn't seem too difficult. I don't know if that one was even easier, but it was just them and the blondes did the food app one, and everyone else did the number trap. Most the guys, well, Riley and Madison made it through pretty quickly.
D'Angelo on them too.
Yeah, second after them, and it didn't seem too difficult. Everybody had the hardest time just trying to get the numbers on the screen. They're just struggling with that.
Yep. And then once they got the numbers, they were able to kind of use the code to...
Yeah, it seemed like it was groups of 5 or 6 of the 0 and 1s, so every 5 or 6 was a different letter, and that's how they had to decode it.
For sure.
It was cool.
So it was a cool challenge. What would you have done?
Probably the number trap, because it'd be really easy to get lost in India.
And that's the kind of thing, right? You always want the ones that have the less variance, I think. I always say do the straightforward ones And the ones that you have all the control over, and there's no real luck involved or skill involved. The ones that are just kind of right. It's up to you. You gotta do this. And straightforward. The straightforward ones I think are the best.
Was that what it was? Straightforward. The number trap. Yeah.
For sure. And if you couldn't get it, you couldn't get it. But they said they figure out going 2 hands side by side or whatever.
Yeah, didn't even have to be specific. You could just wave your hands back and forth like windshield the entire time and just pick them all up.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I think that was definitely the better option for sure. Most people would know.
Yeah.
What was next?
The roadblock, which was flip your lids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, that's the one where they had to go to. I don't want to call it a castle. It was like a
tomb.
Yeah, a tomb, I guess. And you would go and find different pillars. You would use the iPad to look at the pillar, and it would bring up a prince. And you had to decipher the headpiece that they were wearing with everybody that was upstairs. Find the right one, put them on the right marble block above where you saw them below you.
Yeah, so it was basically virtual 3D image of the person, and then find that actual person and put them on the.
Yeah, it was basically the art one, except a lot harder.
Yeah.
Because all you had to do was find the art piece and show it to them. This time you had to remember where you're placing them.
Yeah.
And the placement wasn't straightforward, so people were messing that up. And you couldn't use the same person more than once. So once they were done, they're done. And you had to realize that one was completed and go to it.
Right.
And you could also kind of cheat, as everybody else was starting to do.
Right. what
volleyball boys.
Right. How did What did Gary figure out and tell? I know it was James, and it was James he told. Maybe it was Will.
I thought it was Ashwar.
You told them too, yeah. But Gary, because the James got like 5, 6, 7 in a row. We found the right person.
Oh yeah.
Was put in the wrong spots. So what happened?
He told them he was looking at the outside building across from them to find the placement of where he was. Basically, it seemed like they were 1 or 2 off, so you couldn't count the 2 pillars at the end. You had to skip that and count over to find it. James was always getting the right people for the most part. He just wasn't getting the placement.
And Gary was kind of saying if you look across the way, you can find a stationary item and then count from there as opposed to counting from the pillars that you're in here.
Right.
So it gets a little bit confusing.
Right.
So that was a good help.
Yeah, and we'll say, Gary tried looking over what I think it was Ishwar's shoulder to see what he was looking at, to look at the guy at the same time, to beat him to it, I guess. Or no, it was Madison or Riley. He was doing it too.
Yeah. Yep.
And they got mad, but then Madison or Riley, I don't remember who did it, did the exact same thing to Ashwar and took the person and got their last thing. So please do not judge other people if you're going to do it too. That's all I'm going to say.
Most people on planet Earth are in some way, shape, or form hypocrites.
Well, I know. It's annoying.
It is. I know. I know.
Especially to see it on there. Like, you're going to say that Gary and D'Angelo can't contribute, and they just take, but then you just did it too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
what you yell at them for doing, you do yourself.
Well, right. That's what everybody does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Gary and D'Angelo would probably help people if they were a little better. Were there first. So.
Correct. That's what we were saying too. So they're really not in this position to help anybody because they're always in the back of the pack.
Yeah.
So if they were in front of the pack, they could probably help teams. And they kind of have when they've been in front, but they haven't been in front enough to really make that a thing.
Pretty much.
But anyways. Anything else? What's next?
I think that's basically it. Next was the detour.
Oh, so sorry, that was the episode break. It was kind of like, all right, some of them are still moving on, some of them are still there looking for the thing. Ashwar are still there, whoever. Then that was kind of the end of the episode, and the next one started. Right?
And then everyone left, and the blondes were there.
Blondes, yeah. Okay, so what happened to them?
They got lost again.
They got lost, but also because they got lost in the challenge. They took the one food challenge a lot. They also got.
Well, their taxi driver got them lost as well. They
Correct.
had to stop and get directions for them.
But also, what'd they get?
Oh, they got yielded.
They got yielded by, I think...
Right. The first one was on James and
Will. Yep. Mm-hmm. They yielded right before the roadblock, right? Was that before the roadblock? So they got there and they were super late anyways. Mm-hmm. But then they also got a 20-minute yield.
Yeah.
So that definitely hurt too.
Yep, we're getting punched.
All day. What's next?
The next detour decision, which was this or that.
Mm-hmm. So that was all they got to. All the information they got was this or that.
Yeah, it was just crazy. So this was basically you got an entire giant wheelbarrow of bracelets, and you had to go pick one of the women I guess it was the bride's getting married, and you had to find all the bracelets that she was wearing on her other wrist to match exactly. So basically, you're just digging and digging through a trough to find them, and it wasn't easy. There were
Needle
tons of
haystack
them.
challenge for sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, or that was quite interesting.
Gross.
So you had to go to basically a dental clinic, and that's crazy. That obviously, it's probably not too. I guess. I don't know. They just let random people do dental stuff, which to me is insane. But they had to go make a mold of someone's teeth. They had to polish dentures, and then they had to put the dentures in the person's mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't do that?
No.
I'm like, I feel like I would have choked the person just putting the damn mold into their mouth, because I think most of them did. Except, whenever any single guy, any guy on the show sees one of the blondes, they just smile right away. They didn't care.
Yeah.
Because they want to do that, which surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah. The blonde surprised me a lot this whole
Yeah.
season, really. I mean, they were a lot better at a lot of challenges than I would have thought. They just had terrible sense of direction, and they were called cockroaches. They just wouldn't die,
Yeah.
and that they had to get all the firepower on them to get them to finally die.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, though, at one point I wanted to root for them as the underdog, because they keep coming back and coming back. So
Resilient.
yeah,
Super resilient.
Very resilient.
So yeah, this or that. What would you have done for this or that challenge?
I guess the bracelet.
Yeah, me too.
It would have taken long, but you just have to pay attention to detail. Like, they were just focusing on the main color. Look for the major color, and that's what you look for, and you can probably find it. Yeah, in the major color.
Yeah, I think that's kind of. I mean, the needle haystack, it's daunting, but I think if you they're doing, you each pick out one item,
Yeah.
and you look for the major color item. If you find that item, then you move on. There's only 7 items you have to find, even though it's
Yeah.
and once you get down to the small ones at the end, there's only one left. There's a small one. It takes a while to find it, but eventually you're going to find it. Whereas with the denture one, you could be doing it forever and never get it right. I mean, in theory.
I feel like I would have taken them and put them on the ground. I don't know if you were not allowed to, but most people were just like, shoving them to the side. But if I want to look for something, I don't want to look through what I looked through already, so I'm going to pile them up, put them on the ground.
Yeah. I don't know. They didn't say
Unless
that.
you're not supposed to, because then if you got to pick them up before you leave, I don't know. But to me, that's the easiest way to do it.
For sure.
Like when you used to have to look through the $5 movies at Walmart and the giant bins.
Yes. Yes. I that was when I found out that Glenn Jacobs was an actor. Kane, the wrestler, was in a scary movie. He was like a killer. Well, I can see it.
Interesting.
I see it.
don't know if you do.
He was in the dollar bin, the movie. So I'm sure his movie crew was
pretty
really
fantastic.
Now he's a mayor, so
Yeah,
whatever.
that's fine.
Moving on.
Okay. The next roadblock was set the table. So everyone had to pick a specific table setting, learn how to fold the napkins from the person there, and set up the table exactly how their table setting was. However, no one realized that you had to measure it exactly to get it right, because, who was it? Someone got checked like 10 times and didn't get it right. Not 10, I'm exaggerating, of course, but it was a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I mean, Gary had no idea. Madison or Riley, I can never remember which one does it.
Yeah.
So one of them figured it out and did not want to tell him at all. So they told James, they told Hung,
Yes.
and then who else was there? I feel like they told one other person. Might have been
Might
Aparna.
have been.
But, he told them the trick. You had to have one finger from the edge of the table for everything. You had to have everything measured within a certain amount. And really, if you saw the ruler and you knew to go measure your place setting, it would have been easier. But they put them to the side, so you didn't really know.
Yeah. And they had to learn how to fold the napkins all a certain way. It was very interesting.
That was fine because someone was there to teach you. If they were
Right.
just stare at it and figure it out, then everybody would have been there forever.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, professional napkin folders all over.
Yeah, and it was an interesting one that before they did that, they had to actually get changed into elaborate outfit, and then they had to get on a horse and buggy and ride the rest of the way to the flu box.
They had to pick a couple
Yeah.
to escort them there.
Yeah, it was an interesting challenge. That it was definitely the alliance was definitely coming in handy for I guess the Mind Fives they're called, which I don't really understand why that is, but it was fine though. It was interesting. It was
Mind Five.
it was Stupid plan words. It was, but they're way closer with Madison and Riley and James and Will and Hung and Chi are definitely the core three of that five. My only, I guess, issue with that is play the game how you want to, but again, I said before, I want to go to the end with Blondes,
right,
and
Ashmar and Prano.
Yeah, or even for Leo and Alana, whoever.
Well,
I want to go with the people
at this point,
right?
yeah.
I want to go with people at the end who are the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go there with them. I don't care if I don't get along. I don't care if I hate them. I want to go there with them because I'm gonna beat them.
Yeah.
One of the people in this alliance of 5 is gonna win. The other 4 are gonna lose. The other 4 made a bad decision by going with alliance.
Yeah.
Maybe they would have made it this far. Who knows? Three of the people in this, or 2 of the teams in this final 3 eventually made the bad decision because they have somebody they couldn't beat. It's we can say on Survivor. You can't go. Even though you like these people, you can't go down with them because you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't go down with people you like. You should go down with people you can beat.
Yeah, I mean, with this, it's different than Survivor, but
Yeah.
if you're confident enough in your skills to get through everything by yourself, then why bring along people that you're helping that could possibly beat you?
It doesn't make sense.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't believe in alliances with this show because you don't rely on them to keep you in the game.
You still do
the help. But yeah, I mean, you're on your own accord, so.
Well, I mean, and again, a little bit of help does go a long way, but ultimately it's up to you. You have to complete the challenge on your own.
Yeah.
And this the Will and James and Madison and Riley colluding together was very telling.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then before is that the roadblock or was that?
That was the last one.
That was the roadblock though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What happened before that roadblock? Well, Madison and Riley decided that they were going to yield somebody, and we're like, oh, they're going to yield their alliance, D'Angelo and Gary.
I figured that was coming. Yeah.
But it was the last time to use the yield.
Mm-hmm.
So what did they do?
Yielded the Blondes again.
Again.
Yeah.
So another 20. The Blondes get yielded 3 times for a total of 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah.
They threw everything they had these Blondes. They get rid of them, and
very successful.
Finally successful.
So why the Blondes lost? Bad luck. I mean, maybe it's partially just they worked fine together, but they struggled with getting the objectives done.
I think they did decently well with the challenges. They were very, for the most part, they had very bad sense of direction.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't in the alliance.
They also just picked really bad taxi drivers.
They did multiple times.
Which is
bad luck. I think it was a combination of a lot of things. I think it was bad luck. I think it was bad sense of direction when they're driving themselves or when they're trying to find things on their own. They would get lost.
I think it was bad communication without to the people there because you can't I guess blame if so many taxi cabs got lost with them. Maybe they just weren't explaining where they needed to go enough. Certainly possible.
Yeah. I mean, and I think the biggest thing was that they knew they were good at the challenges, but they just weren't a strong enough team to have. I mean, all the obstacles. It's hard to believe a team could be last 3 times, be yielded 3 times, have 2 speed bumps, and finally lose after all that. It took them to finally lose.
They were yielded 3 times.
They're yielded
twice.
U-turn once. I'm sorry.
Oh, U-turn.
U-turn once.
Twice. I thought they were U-turned. No, once.
U-turn once.
Yeah.
Yielded twice.
Yes.
2 speed bumps.
Yes.
Finished last 3 times, and they finally go out.
No, I was thinking about they also had 2 speed bumps because they
avoid elimination.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. So I mean they had all those obstacles that would knock out any team. And they weren't that strong of a team. They got lucky on a couple times and they got unlucky a couple times. We say they got unlucky, but you think about it, they were last twice and didn't get eliminated. The two non-elimination legs so far were the 2 times they were last.
Mm-hmm.
So they were unlucky, sure, but eventually it all comes out in the wash, I think, and that's kind of where they ended up. So I don't think they were that strong of a team. I think that definitely hurt them not being that strong of a team. But they also, had a lot of other obstacles. I mean, you couldn't. I wouldn't expect some of the best teams of all time to go through all that and still come out on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So they said they had to U-turn, and so they had to yield Leo and Alana the week before to kind of give themselves enough cushion to stay ahead too. So it was tough. They weren't. I don't think they were that strong. I think they did well in the challenges for the most part. I don't think they were that strong of a team overall, but they definitely had a lot of things go wrong in along the way, and it was just too much to overcome. I think.
I agree.
What else? Anything else?
Nah, I think that's it.
So
Sorry, Blondes.
So that's why they lost. Yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap up with the last part of this.
Power rankings.
Mm-hmm. So with this, there were 5 left.
Yep.
Only the mine 5. That's it.
Yep.
Final 5.
Mm-hmm.
Who is number 5 in this power ranking, Jessica?
I would say the mine 5 should really end at this point because they can't work together.
You have to. And I think it's going
to. I mean, it sounds like though the 3 may still work together, which to me is insane.
Yeah.
Why are you helping anybody?
At this point,
you're at the end.
Right. So, at this point, you gotta be able for himself.
Yeah.
It's like remember the show The Mole.
Yes.
I love the show. One of my favorite shows. Season 2 was I think it was Wendy and Heather went to the end together, and Heather figured out the whole, or Dorothy. It was Dorothy. Dorothy and Heather, and Heather figured out who the mole was, but wanted confirmation, so she brought Dorothy into her alliance with her, and then Dorothy beat her. Mm-hmm. She gave Dorothy all the information she had. Dorothy confirmed that information, and then Dorothy beat her.
And that was Bill, right?
And it was Bill.
I guessed that one.
Yes, you did.
At the very end,
yes.
But I figured it out.
I never guessed that one. That was the one.
And I guessed the last one, so that was from the beginning. First episode.
You were on point. Way more observant than I have, I think.
Yeah, I know obviously. I am.
Obviously.
There's garbage on the floor. Pick it up.
What garbage? I don't see it. I don't see anything, Jessica. Please don't do it. So, anyways, I mean, the whole thing is though, you eventually you loop something into your plan, and then they beat you at the bad idea. Yeah. You could do it on your own. If you can't do it on your own, you shouldn't be there, right? Why loop people in your again? The alliance of 5 is dead. The 3 are probably still going to work together again, which is stupid. At some point, you bring for the again. I said it again. The teams who are in the final 3, 2 of them working together is a bad idea because only one of those teams is going to win. One of the teams is a great idea to work with the 3.
Yeah.
But for 2 of them, you're working with somebody who's going to beat you, and that's a bad idea. So I think it's not great.
I agree.
Let's talk about the power rankings of number 5.
Number 5, Eshwar and Aparna.
Eshwar and Aparna, yeah. Why are they here?
They struggle. They're not bad. I mean, they're still in it, I guess, but they struggle. It takes them a while to get tasks done, and I don't think going forward they're going to have as good of luck now that there's no team that trails behind that far. Everybody that they're there with finishes things pretty quickly, so I think they're in danger.
I do too. I think there's a, again, eventually the problem with having an alliance of 5, for example, the problem of that many teams, the problem of being a pretty strong team, not the strongest team, is eventually you run out of weak teams.
Yeah.
And it's you can't keep doing that. Eventually you have to be elite or you're not gonna make it. Right. And that's kind of where you go.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we have number 4.
D'Angelo and Gary.
D'Angelo and Gary.
Yes.
Why D'Angelo and Gary?
I mean, they've gotten a decent amount of help to get this far. And it's not that they can't do things on their own, but going forward, I'm not sure how well they're going to do. It seems like they've gotten better working together and figuring things out. But now, I don't know. I'm not sure. Without extra help, they didn't exactly need it this week, but
Yeah.
It's I'm not too sure.
They won 1 leg, didn't they?
They've won 1 leg.
They've won 1 leg. I think I'm kind of in the spot now where I really do see D'Angelo and Gary. They have certainly impressed me. I made them a winner pick because I thought it'd be kind of funny, but they are in this. I mean, they could certainly win. I mean, I wouldn't bet on it necessarily, but I could certainly see it. They've impressed. They've been really good at things. I didn't think they'd be really good at all. I thought they'd be freaking musclehead idiots.
Art. Settings.
Right, classy stuff. I wouldn't think NFL players would be good at that crap. Right. Especially getting hit in the head a lot, right? Exactly. I think they've impressed me tremendously. And they said even if they don't go that far, they go out next. they've done better than I thought. I mean, obviously the Lions certainly helps, but at the end of the day, they are. I wouldn't bet on them winning, but they've certainly impressed the hell out of me. So yeah, I'm happy that they're here.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
Any other thoughts?
No, I think that's all.
Who's number 3?
Riley and Madison.
Yeah, they could definitely be higher. I could probably see them with 1 or 2.
But the top 3 is kind of hard to pick a spot for all 3 of them. It's kind of 1A, 1B, 1C.
I agree completely. I think it really can be anywhere. They won 1 or 2 legs now. I think they won 2 now.
They've won 2. I mean, they don't impress me as much as the other 2 teams, I feel like, and I don't know. You have a better feeling about them than I do.
Yeah, they like I said, the whole butting heads with D'Angelo and Gary thing. I said they were doing the same things they're accusing D'Angelo and Gary of doing, which was not a good look at all. Not a good look at all. They did win the super leg. They were leading most of the time through that, so that's definitely good. I definitely think they're hitting their stride. They're definitely in good physical shape, and they do work really well together as a pair. But there's really nothing that really makes any of the top 3 teams really stand out. Somebody has to be third, somebody has to be second.
Yeah.
And I think if you give me one shot, one roll of dice, I would say they would not be the winner. But I could definitely see it.
Yeah.
I could certainly see it.
Yeah.
For sure. What do we got for number 2, Jessica?
Not Ashfar. Oh my gosh. Hung and Chi.
Yeah. So for the first time, Hung and Chi not number 1.
They struggled so bad on the one challenge, and they got into the weeds after that. At that point, they fell behind so bad, and I think you mentioned about waiting for them to fall apart at some point, and that happened this episode. They were able to pull it together at some point, but they were not towards the top of the pack at all.
No, they were 3rd or 4th out of 6.
Yeah.
Or were they
4th or 5th? Yeah.
Yeah, they were because they couldn't get the challenge.
It was Gary D'Angelo, volleyball boys, and Ashar Parna that were 1, 2, and 3 for most of it.
Yeah, right. And they just they couldn't. And James and them were good too. Yeah. So I think they were really. I mean, they were struggling big time with the numbers. They couldn't decide whether to stay or go. They eventually decided to go, and then they did a pretty job on the other challenge. But they were so far behind them, so they were just basically struggling just to catch up, and they had to get some help from their lines basically to get through. I mean, Hung had to get help from Madison and Riley to get through the table setting part. And that if they would have they wouldn't have known the information about the measurement and like that, they may have not gotten done. They could have been knocked out. They were there.
Maybe the blondes were
way
so far behind,
that's
so that's the only thing that would have been a saving grace. Say that they were one of the last teams, and
for sure
they would have been out.
Yeah, you're right. They were they had a really bad leg. They were really far behind, and they were basically at this point. At the point of that last episode, the end of the episode, they were just trying to get through the map. Just trying to get to the pit stop and avoid being eliminated because they knew that this leg was not one they were gonna win. They weren't competitive in this leg at all. It was just a matter of can we survive and fight another day, and they did. But it was certainly their worst leg. And I think that they got dropped down a little bit for that reason. Gonna wake up. Yes, and all right, Madonna.
I could die another day. Anyways, moving on
to the team number 1 this week.
Will and James.
And they didn't win the leg, but they won 3.
They've won 3.
And they've been right in it again every week. They're right there. They're one of the top teams every week. And they know this game really, really well. And that is not necessarily a huge advantage, but it's a minor advantage that could play a factor. And I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like I would only agree with them here just because they've won 3 legs.
Yeah.
They also struggle. They have their struggles with what they're doing.
For sure.
But,
I think Will's a calming force. He kind of doesn't take it as seriously. James, I think, is the bigger super fan. He gets a little bit in his own head. But they work well together. They certainly do.
It was the
The hat
one. That he was flipping. He was really getting.
He was flipping his own lid.
Yeah, he was flipping his own lid.
So, I think I'm happy with them here. I think we could put any of those top 3 as number 1. Hung and Chi have been all season. They had a really bad leg this week, but so my only concern with Hung and Chi is they could be fading. They could be starting to fade. They're the oldest team left. They could be starting to they could be running out of steam. And that would be good for Madison, Riley, Will, and James, who are definitely the strongest teams left.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to. I think we didn't want to put Hung and Chi number one this week because they had such a bad week, and we had to put somebody else, and we just put the team who has one of the most likes. I think that's why.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
No.
I think we're good. Let's we'll get this video out to you guys soon. Obviously, watch this now; it is out, but we're trying to get the rest of them out. We're still like episode 2 behind, so we're trying to get those out to you guys here as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. Jessica, how people find you on Twitter if they want to find you?
Just T820.
And we got to bring back Bailey for next week because we have to have our 3 here and our triple B as we go into that next week.
Not we. Don't say we. Oh, we go into the next week. I thought you meant we named this.
No, I named it, but it's going to be pretty hilarious when I actually tell you what it is. We'll save it until Bubba's is back next week. Until then, you might have heard him. He's trying to give his 2 cents through the room.
Yeah.
So I'm on Twitter at Yo Grab a Gabba. I almost said Just T820. You can find me on. If you like this episode, it's Yo Grab a Gabba. If you hate it, it's Just T820. You can email the show, paymoreproductions@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/paymoreproductions. Subscribe so you get all the updates, and we'll go from there. We'll fix this painting before next week. So it doesn't fall on Jessica's head. And until then, I've got nothing else for you but safe travels.